I don't got nothing else to do with my life, so why not be great? You know?
You set that standard for yourself. You really have to hold it. Like no matter, even if you hear those little doubts and
nobody can do it the way I want to see it.
Stubborn, I'm gonna get it. Honestly, you have to tell yourself these things.
You are now tuned in to the CEO Talks podcast, a podcast for all entrepreneurs.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the CEO Talks podcast, a podcast for all entrepreneurs to gain inspiration, motivation, mindsets, perspectives, strategies, and everything entrepreneur for everyone from A to Z in the entrepreneur world. And now we have Juani Alice on the podcast, special guest. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm an artist from Brooklyn, New York. I sing, but I also act, model, a little bit of dancing, and yeah.
Wow, yeah.
The CEO comes in from, I have my own management company, so I actually manage myself. I'm an independent artist, to say the least.
So, you said you were an artist, you said you were a singer, creator, content creator. Give us some insight on like how that journey started for you.
Well, I started singing at a really young age. I started in church actually. So I knew what it was like to perform in front of an audience, bigger audiences, since I was very little. At 16 years old, I performed at the Apollo Theater. I had an amazing opportunity to go on the Apollo, and it actually aired on Fox 5 as well. And that was like kind of my biggest stage industry-wise, like my biggest crowd. And since then, I kind of took the dreams by the, and was like, I kind of want to do this full time. This is something I really enjoyed, and since I was 16, I'm 21 now, so it's been 4 or 5 years.
In the making.
That I've been just, chasing and creating what I would say is my, what's the word?
Life path.
I just had a brain fart. No, my legacy.
Oh, legacy, yeah, legacy. So getting right into what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Like, what is Juani Alice want to be like known for?
Well, I want to be known for someone who just went after, everything that her heart desired, authentically, with just a lot of strength and determination. I want to be known for a woman who loves God above everything, and her family and friends after, and who just wants to serve her community and serve, the next generation, because if anything, I just want us to keep getting better, and there's a lot of work that the world needs, and if I can be a part of the change, then that's what I want to do.
So give us some insight on that change. So your legacy you want to leave behind, but what are you doing right now in the current state to bring forth that legacy?
Well, I don't want to give too many details because, I do want it to be some sort of surprise, right? When I do launch, I'll say little things, launch what I'm about to launch soon. But what am I doing? I'm building low key, a community, a safe space, a group, I would say, right, where people can come and be their authentic selves and find strength when they need it, and find sisterhood, and find brotherhood, and find all these things that you might need in life to just get to the next level and just feel like you're a part of something. And a part of something, and I say not just like a part of anything, just something that can help you, really lead you to your destiny, your own path. Because life gets hard, really hard, and a lot of people don't have that support system that many of us do have.
So the inspiration. So I want to get into like inspiration, motivation. Where does the inspiration come to build that? Let's like that unification that you want to bring forth.
Where does it come from?
Yeah, what is it like? What inspires you to?
People in general, like the world in itself, and humans inspire me, just I want to see people do better. I'm not selfish, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want that everyone wants that for themselves, you know? Everyone's like always working on their own dreams and their own path. And I see a kind of a bigger picture. I want to be a part of like leading everyone to their bigger path and, you know, to their future and stuff. My love for God, I know, has a big part of why I long for people to do great as well, you know, because God loves us all and He wants the best for all of us. And if you're on the spiritual route, right, of trying to be more like Him authentically, you just kind of fall into being like He would be, which is like wanting great for everyone and wanting to see great things and see fulfillment and blessings pour. And that inspires me, you know, to see more good, to see what the world could be if we would all just come together, you know.
And would you say the same thing motivates you, like to go get it, to like get up every day and?
Yeah, same thing motivates me.
I think that's some really good characteristics of a leader, you know, wanting not only better for yourself but better for others.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from experience and going through different paths and finding yourself and things like that. So I think that's like a big wonderful gem out there for all entrepreneurs. Is before you go on into the world, you got to really find yourself and hone in on that, and then love that, embrace it.
Embrace it, yeah.
Wow, that's a really big gem. That's like, it makes me think like, it makes me like take a break from like, because I'm big about like breaks and like not always grinding 24/7, like taking breaks. So having that kind of gratitude towards that energy is just like, you get to a different level of appreciation where you're like, you know, if I'm not going to be my best self, I'm not going to be able to spread that to other people. Wow.
Yeah.
So
you want to make sure your cup is full, and instead of like it's overflowing, so you can continue to pour into other people, you know. So I agree. I'm big on breaks and, you know, whatever it is that you need to do to like fill yourself up. When you learn yourself and go through all these things in life, you'll then learn like what is certain things you need to do to like, you know, recharge and stuff. But your cup should always be full, for you can overflow and pour into others and, you know, be able to be that vessel.
Because when it's empty, you just not a good place to.
Yeah, you're not a good place, and there's like you can't pour into nobody else.
Yeah. And I think the big thing about entrepreneurship and the business owner and CEO is the giving back aspect of it, where being an entrepreneur means taking financial risk on a dream and a path that you don't know if it's going to make it, but you're still putting in that work every day, and it's about taking that risk. But the risk, I believe, lessens when you have that kind of attitude where it's just like, I have a better chance of making it if I'm helping others realize that they can make it too, in a sense of a way. Yeah,
and I feel like there's a greater reward in it, you know, like personally, because everyone's different, right? Excuse me, but I feel like all these material things in the world only last so much, right? They only give you like a certain amount of happiness. So I feel like there's a greater reward in when you're inspiring or helping someone else reach their goals as well.
Which, it brings me to the next question that I like to ask is, knowing what you know now about giving back and energy and making sure you love yourself first, that you're overflowing to be able to fill others' cups, what would you say, what would you tell your past self, things that you know now, for people that are out there that are your age or younger than you, or looking at you as some kind of like inspiration and motivation, like, I want to be where she is, or I want to be better than her one day, what would you tell that younger self?
I would tell her, fall in love with patience. Fall in love with patience and fall in love with the idea of having gratitude for even the small things. Because when you have gratitude for the small things, you tend to automatically fall in love with the life that you already have, and you're not always thinking of what's next and saddened easily when things don't go your way. You know what I'm saying? And having gratitude in your life, where you are at the moment, just also helps you with the patience aspect, like having patience for where you know you are going. We tend to like overthink so much and want things to go a certain way that it disappoints us when things don't happen and how we pictured it. And that can really like depressing you inside in you. When you'll learn in the long run, there's literally no reason to worry. Everything and every season has its purpose. And to the younger me and to the audience that's coming next, patience, gratitude, and just continue to be determined and loving yourself, you know, like all these, I said like 5 words, but these things matter, like, because you're growing through the seasons. And like I said, every season matters. So it's like, you might feel like where you are right now doesn't make sense, but in the future it'll make so much sense. And you will realize you needed that part of your life to be and to go where you're going.
I think that thing you told me that you're gonna like launch soon, it ties so much into like, because you're like talking about it, I'm like I'm like, oh wow, we're talking about it, like no, this is my podcast. And we're like, wow, you guys gotta stay tuned for what Juani and Alice is gonna drop, music, the special surprise that she got going on. But it's all gonna make sense the next time Juani Alice comes up here on the next episode of the podcast. But back to the questions, you know, you really dropped in some really good gems there. Like,
Thank you.
I'm like, wow, she answered the next 2 questions like already, which is like.
And Marco's out here doing very well on his podcast, and he's getting better with his questions, and I can tell because the combo is just flowing.
Yeah. So now we talked to someone about in the past. So someone stumbles upon it where it's like 5 years ago that was you, or you 5 years ago, you know, so like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old girl, boy, whatever, and they're in the position where you were back then. What would you tell your future self? What advice would you give to someone right now that wants to be an artist and they want to do all these things that similar or same art, you know, in that realm of what you do? What advice would you give them right now?
The future?
Like not future you, but like present you to someone else.
Oh, okay.
Like if you were like.
Oh, okay. This is a good question. The crazy, I would kind of almost give them the same advice. Because even though I'm in a different season than I was in my past self, I still have to practice gratitude and my patience, because I'm not where, quote unquote, I picture myself, but I'm so much more farther than where I was, you know? But since that has worked, gratitude and patience, I'm gonna keep using it. I feel like, you know, we should continue to use those tools, even when you're like, quote unquote, let's say you wanna be a millionaire. If you reach the millionaire goal, you should still practice that, because we always have more goals, right? And like I said, material things only like fills your heart for some point of time. So when that $1 million goal doesn't fill you anymore, you should, because you practice so much gratitude, you'll have so much gratitude in your heart, like, you know what I'm saying? So I would almost give the same advice and just be determined, you know, you work for it, work for whatever it is you want, create your own life. None of the social media stuff matters. And I feel like if you really just find happiness, if you really find yourself, you will find your true happiness, what really fills you. You can do all those things that fill you, and you will always be filled. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense.
It does, but I think that's one of the hardest things in life is to find yourself. So I want you to give some elaboration and insight on what you mean by being like patient,
Mm-hmm.
because I know it's not like be patient and don't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
You sit there.
No.
It's
No.
more than that. Just
Mm-hmm.
go put in work
Yes.
and then be patient
Mm-hmm.
and determined. Or how
So-
would you know if that work that you're putting in is worth being that patient for?
Mm-hmm. Very, very good question. So I mean, it depends on what you're going after, right? Like, so I mean, that for me as an artist, I'll know that I'm doing the right thing when I'm feeling filled. You know, if I'm in the studio and I'm making music that I like, I'm gonna feel good about it. And I mean by work, like right now I'm working on an EP, and even though it's taking a little longer than I pictured it,
You have
I'm
that
still-
patience.
yeah, the patience comes in. I have that patience, and I'm still and I'm working towards it. And it's, again, even though it's taking longer, it's still filling me because it's songs I like. It's a genre I like. It's me, and I chose who I wanted to work with and who's on, who's creating, who's helping me create the music. So having choices and being in control of your situation also helps a lot with the patience aspect, because when you're involved and really working towards what you're doing, even if timing is not working out or things are out of your control, just knowing that you are in control and you are making decisions makes you feel better about yourself
And
as a CEO. You know what I'm saying?
And I think you kind of answered like the hardest question of life is finding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that feeling you get when it's just like, I love this, like I created this, and people are gonna be able to judge it, like it, hate it,
Yes.
love it.
And you gotta kind of be, I feel like, that's like the scariest thing,
You gotta be.
the outside judgment or thinking of what other people are gonna think for you, and that's, you gotta be what are you gonna say? You gotta be
I want to say patient, but like you gotta be like.
patient, and I'm supposed to say strong. And
No,
almost,
strong,
right?
but I think the
To
words,
not have,
you gotta be like stern. You gotta be like, if people judge it, it's okay. I love the
yeah,
project.
like be able to take criticism, and that's something I had to work with, and I'm still working
Strength,
with.
power, determined.
As a CEO, as somebody with a business, you have to be able to take criticism, because there's going to be opinions everywhere, and the people are wrong. Some people are wrong, even if you don't like their opinion. But there's going to be opinions everywhere, and yeah, you got to be determined, stern. What's the word you said? Strong, mentally strong, confident in what you're trying to create, because
Basically, you gotta
even
be.
if they're not wrong, their opinion is still,
Basically, you gotta be everything.
everything.
You gotta be everything.
So how can a person get there if they
I
have
was like, oh,
nothing?
strong, okay, confident, patient, determined, stern. Oh my God, bro, I figured.
Yeah. We're probably overwhelming the viewers instead of like.
It's okay, guys. It's all a work in
That's
progress. It's about the process and journey.
It's
rather
about
than-
authenticity. I feel like if you're just honest with where you are in life and you are trying every day to like.
I think the best approach would be like, this is where I am. This is where I want to be, and in order to get where I want to be, this is what I have to do. And I'm not doing what I have to do to be where I want to be.
Yeah.
So you gotta be very authentic. Another thing, another finger. But what I wanted to say that it's, for me, I believe there's no end point. There's no finish line.
No finish.
That's like
I
a
was
trap
gonna say
mentality.
That. Yeah, I was gonna say that.
It's the process and journey that fills you up, and like you look back and like, oh, I'm so happy that I did that. I got to experience.
Sorry to interrupt you. We're like so excited now about this. I feel like you'll meet so many different versions of yourself in life, Like you said, there's no end, there's no end zone. We just have different versions of ourselves we meet and we get to spend time with, and you should love and accept each and every one of them, because they all been through something.
And it goes back to what we said earlier about finding yourself and loving yourself. It never ends. There's no end point to that. It's really about the journey and process of figuring out I didn't know I love that part of myself because I never experienced that part of my life, and just like you want to go sing, you want to go rap, you want to go be an artist. You eventually got to go to write music, go to the studio, go in the booth, make it, record, and experience that. And I think let's talk about like the abundant amount of scarcity out there of just being scared to make that jump. Kind of now relates to you on like, what did you feel like when you got on that big stage, like your first big stage? Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Was it scary? Was it scared?
I prayed so much that day. I prayed so much. I was scared. It was scary. I hadn't I was nervous, but I prayed so much. I felt like I had a whole other confidence with me, but I was nervous, and you can actually hear it in my performance a little bit. But so what was your question about like people being afraid of making that jump? Because you know what I think it is, they're afraid to fail, and that's just where it stands.
But why is it so bad to fail?
Because as a society too, we've
you feel ashamed, or
it's the emotions that comes with.
But then you learn from it, and then I'm not gonna feel that way anymore.
And that's how some people would look at it, but others are just like taunted by, they don't want to feel that emotion, and that can go back to like they just don't want to feel that emotion because that emotion reminds them of a point in life where they did feel that and they just are taunted that, or they just don't want to feel that emotion because they're just prideful and don't feel like they should take L's and want to directly go to a W. But sometimes in life, a lot of times in life, you need to take some L's before you hit a W. Because you learn, like you said, you learn through that and you grow through that, and it all matters really.
Because imagine in life, there's only one way to win, but you don't know that way. But there's 1,000 ways. There's 999 ways to lose, and then you go through life figuring out every way to lose, and you finally come across the way to win. In my mindset and perspective, the more you fail, the more chances you have of winning, because you know how to fail those ways. So it just narrows it down to like more winning. Where the more you fail, the more you get comfortable with it. Like, I failed, but it's not that bad because what really happened to me? Yeah, I got like a little bit of emotions, but you're still here. You still have an opportunity to put in work, to continue to follow your dreams. Yeah. So I know we answered it with inspiration and motivation, but how do you overcome failure when you come across it? Or not 100% failure. Like, you don't have to take that L, but like being on the edge of like, if I don't take care of this, it's gonna fail, but it's tipping over. Like that sense of a feeling. How do you get over that?
What do you mean? Like I had it, and then you lost me at the last part of the question. Like,
how do you overcome the feeling of you just failed?
Oh, like, okay, if I was to take an L, right?
Yeah.
Or something. Well, like we were saying, I kind of detached myself from the embarrassment, low-key, because that's the first, at least for me personally, that like will go to my head as a regular human being. Like, I just don't like to fail. I'm prideful. I want everyone around me, my family and friends, to be proud of me. So automatically, if I take a quote-unquote L, I'm like, so what I did as I grow and healed and learn as an adult, what helps me is I detach myself from that feeling, like shame. Like, there's no need to feel shame. We all go through things in life, and if it didn't work out this way, like, it's literally my life, and I have a chance, like you said, to get up and figure it out the other way. And that makes me so much stronger, and people will be so much more prouder than someone who feels shame and just goes down in a nut hole because they took a quote-unquote L, And at this point, I feel like L's, we don't take L, we take lessons. L's really just shape you, mold you. And I now think like, okay, what can I learn from this? What did I do that maybe led this to go this way? What can I do differently? Now I'm excited because now I'm like, all right, this didn't work, boom. We're on to the next. Like now we have, like you said, a better opportunity to find what does work. So that's how I look at it now. It's perspective.
And when you said this, when you started saying the shameful thing, if I see someone fail and they get up and go do it again, I'm gonna look at that person like, yo, you're crazy. You're mad strong. Like, I'm gonna clap for you. Cause
that looks better, right, than someone who just
haha, you failed. Nah, like, yo, you're gonna do that again? Like, let's go. Like, I want to see it, cause when I fail, I look at something and I'm like, yo, nah, I gotta beat this. I gotta win. It's like playing a video game. Like, you lose at that level, you're eventually gonna beat that level because you figured out how to play the game.
Yeah, how to play.
And if you can take that concept and just bring it to like whatever you're failing at, whatever parts of your life need improvement, it all comes down to just your mindset and perspective on what's really going on, what kind of level of authenticity is going on in your mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any like overall advice?
Yeah, I would say if you're on a journey of like trying to find yourself, find your purpose. If you feel lost, I feel like every day is almost feel like it's like the same day in a different number, different month, right? And that loophole is what I'm trying to say. I would encourage you to start journaling. That helped me a lot. I was in that loophole as well, and that's why I'm like offering these tools. Journaling helped me a lot. Reading self-help books helped me a lot. And watching, positive videos. You have to be intentional with this journey, I feel. You're not gonna one day wake up and feel healed. It's not gonna be from one day to the next that things change.
I actually have a video on healing is actually toxic.
Healing is toxic?
Yeah, but like the perception of like, oh no, I'm healing and I'm still going through. Like, no, get up and tell yourself like, nah, I'm healed already. Let's go conquer the world.
Yeah, I love talking in that.
Because that like, I'm healing. I'm still healing. Like,
no, you can.
That's temporary. Like, tell yourself that for like one day. The next day you gotta be like.
Well, yeah. It depends on what thing too, because we're all, like we said, we're all healing. We're never gonna stop healing. It's not an end zone, But to have that attitude, like waking up every day, like I'm healed and I'm this, and manifest that like
and
lifestyle,
experiencing
and
life.
Experience that, because that feels so much better to be saying I'm healed.
Yeah.
To say I'm still healing. Like who the heck is going to be like I'm healing? That sounds so weak. Not weak, but you know what I mean by that. Like it just sounds like now I'm healed. Like wake up with that energy, but to also understand like we're always going to be healing. Healing is a never-ending journey, but be intentional with your healing. Love yourself, get to know yourself, because you are literally who you have for the rest of your life.
I like how this episode was more of the things that go on the background of the grind, the hustle, the putting in the work, because we touched questions about like advice and stuff like that, but we really touched like base on
kind of almost like I feel like
the energy behind the grind and the hustle and the mentality and the mindset,
which is what really helps stand, makes a business stand. I mean, which one really stand?
Big pillars and foundation.
Yeah, the foundation is what are you standing on that business?
Because the other episodes I have, it's just like a lot about like the process and journey, but I feel like this episode is more of why the process and journey is not,
or what can help
the process and journey, and that all ties into CEOs and entrepreneurship and business, because if you're not functioning at your high efficient level, you're gonna fail in business.
Yeah.
Until you feel that part of, I love myself enough to try this for my business, to try this for my organization, to try this for...
To take those risks and be confident in them.
Yeah, you really have to like love yourself 100% and be there for yourself and have that mentality and mindset and not fear failure.
Ooh, message.
Yeah, fear failure. You have any other things you want to say? Anything you want to manifest?
No, that I've definitely taken the evidence, the tools I said earlier, the journaling, the reading, spending time with yourself. Even if that means being in a room by yourself, like get to know yourself, be intentional. I manifest that you watching are gonna stay tuned and be prepared for the launch soon. Mark was a big part of the launch that I'm gonna launch. Something that I'm gonna launch. I don't want to give like.
Yeah, no,
I'm just
stay tuned. Stay tuned.
We're really excited about it, as you can see.
Yeah.
But Mark was an amazing friend of mine. Keep watching his videos, and let's get up and win another day, win at life.
Thank you so much for being on this podcast. Really highly appreciate it. And that's time. And that's all the time we have, guys. We'll see you on the next episode of the CEO Talks podcast, the #1 podcast for all entrepreneurs. I'm Marco.
I'm Juani. You can call me Juani.
And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Bye, guys.